Well, I feel like everyone likes an underdog, pun totally intended in this one. And I like sport. I think sport plays a pretty essential role in the Australian psyche. For good and bad. But personally, I do like the sport and the way it brings people together. I feel like there's a lot of collective spirit, and despite some of the negatives that can be associated with sport at times, I think it has way more benefits than it does negatives. And so I do like the story of the battler as well, if you haven't already noticed. But I moved to Footscray 5 years ago, and sort of people would ask me, wherever I was in Melbourne, who do you barrack for? And I guess I got to pick a team. So I living in Footscray, I checked out the local team, underdogs. History, very working class area, sort of similar to where I come from in sort of Western Sydney. So I had that connection. I felt like I had that connection with a club such as the Western Bulldogs, or Footscray Bulldogs as they were previously known. As I generally do, I like to get into the history of things. I'm a big history fan in terms of both local and global sort of history, and found out about all the financial struggles and the consolidation in the VFL in the 80s and 90s and stuff like that, and the fact that Footscray was essentially saved by its own supporters, passionate people going door to door, basically collecting money to save the club from insolvency, and ensure a future for the Footscray Bulldogs in the national game of VFL or AFL as it became known. So that's sort of the background behind that song.
Fightback 89.
Yeah, I was going through a lot of YouTube footage from the time, about the people like Peter Gordon and Irene Chatfield and these sorts of personalities, watching documentaries such as The Year of the Dogs about the 1996 season, and just trying to build up a sort of historical understanding about the Bulldogs and about that specific issue back in '89 when they almost merged with Fitzroy, another struggling club which didn't end up really surviving in its original sort of format, I suppose. I was just pulling together sort of information and trying to create a impassioned sort of call to arms, sort of protest song, I guess. Something basically that emphasises that if passionate people get together for a cause, the collective power of that is not only infectious, but it can actually lead to positive results for communities such as Footscray, which at the time was, at the time very working class. A lot of people were without work. The only thing they had to look forward to on the weekend was going to see their team play, and often losing. And I just wanted to sort of encapsulate some of that maybe oft untold local history in the context of a song.
Victory comes to those little boys and girls who never lose sight.
Basically, I felt like that was a good way to finish the song, because it finishes it on a positive note, and on a positive note, I guess the song was naturally going to finish on a positive note because the campaign Fightback 89 was successful. The Bulldogs remained in the league as an entity alone, not merged with Fitzroy or whoever else. And it's basically I wanted I wanted to just re-emphasize the fact that, you know, that if people do maintain the energy, the passion, the fire, the spirit, and do maintain a collective will to achieve a certain result against the odds, that it is possible. And I think that can be extrapolated, and that can be applied to pretty much any endeavor.
Fightback 89.